In this video, we're going over the differences between California and Las Vegas, Nevada. So I grew up in Monterey County, Central Coast, used to go up to San Jose, San Francisco all the time growing up, then moved down to Southern California. I still have friends and family in both places and go back quite often. So not only did I grow up with it, I also know about a lot of the changes that have been going on. So if you want to know about the differences between California and Las Vegas, stay tuned. So one of the first things I want to go over is traffic. So anywhere from San Francisco to LA, any of the big major cities, there is tons and tons of traffic. And you know that if you've ever been there or if you live there pretty much all the time, especially rush hour, even worse. You're gonna be standing still. You can take 2 hours to get anywhere. I know in Southern California, you don't even really say how far something is. Like I know a lot of people all around the country go, hey, I'm 10 miles away, or it's 15 miles away from here. Well, in Southern California, people talk on how far away it is in minutes and hours. Oh, I'm an hour away, or I'm like 30 minutes away, and all that. So one thing you're gonna notice about Las Vegas is there's a lot less traffic in the city. Now, nights and weekends, on the strip, when it's busy, you are gonna hit traffic. If you're trying to get to one of the casinos or something like that, especially in Friday, Saturday nights, you are gonna hit traffic. Now there are back ways you can go and things you could do if you know when the events are and things like that to avoid it. But in Southern California and San Francisco, there's traffic all the time. So you gotta plan your life around that. Out here, not so much. You pretty much plan on not having traffic all the time. They're constantly improving the roads. They made the freeways a lot wider also. So right now, even on the 215, they're expanding it, making more lanes. So they made all the freeways like that. So hopefully it keeps getting better and better and doesn't get as bad. Definitely no 2-lane freeways or anything like that out here. So another thing I want to talk about is the cleanliness. So depending on where you go in California, it's going to be very hit or miss on how nice and clean it is. Some of the places still take very good care of themselves. I know I go to Newport Beach a lot. It's very nice down there. You're not going to see a bunch of trash on the streets and all of that. Now go to downtown LA, certain places, it's going to be a lot worse. And then there's pretty much everywhere in between. I noticed also traveling on the freeways a lot, I always see a bunch of trash, which when I lived there, I actually didn't notice very much. And it wasn't until I actually, about 10 years ago, moved to Vegas that I noticed that the streets were all clean and not as dirty. There wasn't like tires on the side of the road and shoes and like all kinds of stuff. So they keep it a lot cleaner out here. It's definitely noticeable a lot more now than I lived there. Like I said, when I lived there, I guess I was used to it and I didn't kind of notice a difference, but I definitely, going back and forth, I notice a difference now. One area where Las Vegas and California both are very similar is they both have a lot of entertainment, or whether it comes to nightclubs, bars, events, some of the biggest event centers, sports. Up in Northern California, you got the San Francisco Giants, got the 49ers. Southern California, you have the Rams, Dodgers, Anaheim, San Diego. You have the Padres. There's tons to do. Now, California does have a beach, obviously. We don't have a beach here, maybe Encore Beach Club, but that's a little different. But, and maybe Mandalay Bay Beach, but it's also very different. But over there, obviously the beach, if you're into water sports, boating, things like that, we do have lakes out here and stuff, but definitely the ocean is, if you want the ocean, there's only one choice for that out there. So I love the ocean. I love traveling out there all the time. That's one of my favorite things to go to. But living there, honestly, like when I lived in Newport Beach, I was right on the beach, and people didn't really go to the beach that much. I mean, now, like in 2020 with COVID, it seems like a lot more people were a little more outdoorsy and stuff, especially on the weekends, of course, like really packed. But throughout the day, I mean, it's kind of, people talk about it a lot being near the beach, but I mean, a lot of people don't really go when you live there, but it is nice. I went all the time, so I really appreciated it. Out here, entertainment, we have the biggest biggest names that come in, but also LA and San Francisco do too. Like whenever concerts do tours and stuff like that. So I'm gonna say entertainment wise, they're both similar. Now there's differences both places. So if you kind of like the shows and things like that, the kind of one-stop shop, one area, like the Strip to go on to see everything, it's definitely a different experience. So it's kind of a personal preference on what you're gonna prefer. So another big difference about both places is the business climate. Now, Las Vegas is more known as like more business friendly type area. That's because of the lower taxes. They do a lot to bring companies in from places like California, because California has been so dominant over the years because it has been a very great place to do business. It seems like a lot of people are moving their businesses and moving themselves from California. So over the next years, it's gonna really tell like what the difference is on how good of a business environment it is out there. Because if all your best companies move out to other places, then it's not gonna stay as good as it always has been. Now out here, there's no state income tax, so that's good on a personal level, but also the business environment with regulations and all that is a lot more friendly to businesses, which is definitely a good thing if you're thinking about starting a business or moving your business out to Las Vegas. So another big difference between the two places is the electricity outages, fires, and water shortages. So one of the reasons why the water shortage is so bad in California compared to Las Vegas, even though we're in a desert, is because out there's a lot more water being used from things like agriculture and all the people. And so they're trying to do things to fix that. So that's definitely a problem that they're trying to solve in the future. Now fires, the forest, now that's a very hot subject on whether whose fault it is, if it's anybody's fault or if it's global warming or anything like that. But the truth is that the forests are burning. They haven't been managed very well. Hopefully that changes in the future, but the fires are getting worse and worse. Like this year, we actually got a lot of smoke for a few days from California because they had so many fires that no matter where the wind shifted, there was fires coming from every direction. It wasn't that bad out here, especially compared to how bad it was if you were out there. Like I was paying attention to the air quality. Before I never even really had to do that because it was never really bad. But this year, now I know below 50 is good, below 100 is moderate, and then anything above 100. Now out in California, it was getting to the 200s, 300s, which is gonna be really horrible for you, for your breathing and everything. Out here, for a couple days, it got over 100, which is bad. So I definitely kept all the windows and doors shut. Luckily, the firefighters and everybody took care of it mostly, and it kind of slowed down a little bit. Definitely a very unfortunate thing, but it continues to happen year after year. Hopefully things get done to make it better. With electricity, there's rolling blackouts. I know they're doing a big push to go to clean energy, which is a very good thing if can be done properly, but there isn't enough electricity out there, and there's been a lot of rolling blackouts and things like that. I've never had over the 10 years I've been in Las Vegas, I've never had the electricity shut off on me out here for pretty much any reason. So that's another big difference to consider, just kind of the uncertainty of all that and something to prepare for. One of the biggest differences you're going to notice between the two places too is the cost of living. Now in San Francisco and Los Angeles, the median price is way higher than in Las Vegas. Now some of the inland cities, like you can get a cheaper price. Those will still be a little bit more expensive. But when it comes to the coastal cities, the median price is double, almost triple what it is for the same thing in Las Vegas. So a house that you have out there for $1 million, most likely you can get out here for less than half that. So that's one reason why a lot of people are choosing to come out here, is because of the affordability, especially if you're about to be retired or currently retired and you have a fixed income. The lower prices, sometimes people just sell their house and use their equity and buy houses out here in all cash. That's been happening a lot, especially lately. And the biggest reason is because they can afford to do it and then not have a house payment afterwards. So depending on your situation, you could either get a nicer house, or sometimes people like to go down a little bit and just have no house payment anymore. Either way, it's a great choice for a lot of people. So another big difference between California and Las Vegas is the homeless situation. So there is a homeless problem in both places. It definitely seems to be way more pronounced in places like LA and San Francisco. They're kind of just taking over the streets everywhere. Out here, the same thing was starting to happen in downtown Las Vegas. There was people everywhere living. And what they did out here was actually they passed an ordinance saying that if there's any room available in the shelters, that you cannot live on the street. So they'll remove the people from the streets if there's room at the shelters, and try to get them into the shelters where they could be helped. The difference between Las Vegas and LA is the reason why they could do that is because they do have enough room in the shelters. It's just people aren't going to them. So in LA and San Francisco, there's not even enough shelters even to hold everybody. So it's a huge problem out there. Even last time when I was in Venice Beach, there's people just living on the beach now, which is, I mean, honestly, it's probably the nicest place to live if you're gonna live outdoors in a tent, especially in California, is right there on the beach. But definitely becoming a much bigger problem out there. I know a lot of people, especially paying higher rents, don't like people just living outside their house. Also, there's a big safety concern with that too. You never know, like if somebody's gonna start yelling at you, if you're a woman, like what's gonna happen and things like that. It just becomes like a very dangerous situation where you don't know what's going on. So there's definitely a big difference between California and Las Vegas when it comes to that. It's definitely a very sad thing. Hopefully there's more that can be done in both places to keep helping people, because it's definitely a sad situation. So what do you think? Have you ever lived in Vegas or in California? What are some of the differences you've noticed? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Are different places better or worse? Would love to hear it down in the comments below. The only way I can help you out here in Las Vegas is you have to reach out. Text, call, email, days, nights, weekends. I got your back when coming out to Las Vegas. Till next time, talk to you soon.